Don't make this horrible financial mistake. I am going to talk about the financial mistake that keeps the vast majority of our people from moving forward. This economic mistake, this money problem that a lot of people have is one of the things that keeps people back. And I'm going to break it down for you very quickly. It'll change your life. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black economics and Black wealth and Black economic power several times a day, as many as 10 times a day, under one condition. We live under the B1 philosophy. B1 means that we are Black first. Doesn't mean you have to be Black to be here, but it does mean that we serve the Black community because we are going to solve the wealth gap problem all by ourselves. B1 means that we believe that Black people should be our top priority. B1 means that we believe Black people can be ranked number one in the world when it comes to to economics and wealth building within the next 50 years. B1 also means that we understand we must be one to be successful. So go ahead and make sure you're getting along with your cousin, your play cousins, your siblings, your baby mama, everybody else. If you get along, then you can go build wealth. If you're fighting, you cannot build wealth. Fighting is destructive. That's why mafia families, whenever there's a fight, what do? They have a sit down. They talk about it. They figure it out. They live on code. They stay on code. That's how you make money. The reason the mafia does this is not because they're scared to kill somebody. It's because they know that when you're fighting, you're not making money. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes. Rhonda Snow, do you understand? Larissa, Malcolm Tremiar, Valerie, do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? All right. So here's the deal. All right, so hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. And don't forget to go to firstsharestock.com. You can get free stuff from the Black Business School. Everybody can join the Black Business School for free. So never let anybody make you think that you have to pay money. You can get started for free right there at firstsharestock.com. Get on our email list. We'll send you lots of free stuff. So here's what was going on in my head, right? So I'm in Philadelphia. And shout out to Jay Ortiz and the Art from the Heart gallery. I was there, met some great artists, and we talked about NFTs. NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You want to look into that. That's the next big thing on the Ethereum network. Billions of dollars are being transferred through that new thing. I don't even know what to call it. NFTs are just a new thing, and it's going to be massive. So you got to go look into that. So here's the deal, right? So I'm sitting there and I get home and I'm exhausted. After I speak, I'm really, really tired. And I went to sleep. And when I go to sleep, God sends me dreams and visions. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. The good Lord sends me, like, a lot of times I'll wake up and I'll start talking to y'all about some stuff that I did not plan on talking about the day before, because God just sends me these things all through the night. I'm a spiritual man. I don't go to church, but I'm spiritual. So here's what I was thinking about this morning. This is something that I think if you internalize this, it will change your life. Back in my PhD program, there was something that we used to talk about called free cash flow. Free cash flow theory. There's a whole theory around free cash flow when it comes to companies. Free cash flow, basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like your disposable income. It's the extra money you have that you can use to do whatever you want, right? So free cash flow is something that companies pay close attention to, because cash flow is like water to a body. A body that doesn't have food can survive, I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks, but a body without water can't survive very long at all, right? So that liquidity, that's why they call money liquidity, because it's a lot like water. If you have it, things run more smoothly. You're able to survive. Your company's a lot healthier. But when you lose that free cash flow, when you lose that liquidity, then things dry up, things get difficult. So more companies die actually from a lack of liquidity than die from a lack of profitability. Make sure you understand that. Profitability is not what kills most companies. It's liquidity. That's why access to capital, things like that is so important. Why do I bring that up? Well, because in your personal life, you kind of have a similar sort of thing. You have that what they might call disposable income, or what you might consider to be that money that you have after you get your income and you pay your bills. You know what I'm talking about. And now, how many of you know people, and I'm not making fun of these people at all, but because it's a common issue, but how many of you know people where they're kind of like that 2 Chainz song, I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it. Remember that song? I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. right? How many of you know people that think like that? How many of you know people that when they get a dollar, they must spend that dollar? Like almost like Massa sent them a direct executive order and said, "Boy, you better spend that dollar, or I was just going to beat you back behind the barn." Right? Does anybody know who's people? And you may be one of those people. It's okay because I've been like that myself. I can't even sit here and lie to you. How many of you know people that when they get a dollar, they spend it they make $700 a week, they spend $700 a week. Right? They make $3,000 a month. They spend $3,000 a month. Right? And some people will make 3,000 a month and spend 3,500 a month. Right? That's when you're living in a deficit. That's when you're kind of acting like the U.S. government. So this is not just a black thing. This is really an American thing. When I was I spent some time. I did a stint with the Center for European Economic Research back in 2006. It's a place in Mannheim, Germany. And one of my German colleagues came into my office, and I was working on one of my research papers, and he said something like, he said, "What is wrong with Americans?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, I got offended. I said, "Well, what's wrong with Germans?" And he said, "No, he said, I was looking at Z data. And in Z data, I noticed that in Germany, we make less money than you. We pay far more in taxes than you do. But we save 5 times more than you do." And that's when I became aware of the fact that in the United States, you have a spending problem, just like you have a drinking problem. Y'all don't know it, but we do have a drinking problem in this country. And one of the consequences of the spending problem is that because these companies, because the government wants you to spend, and they train you to spend, they want you to do that because consumer spending is one of the largest, if not the largest, driving factor in the economy. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know consumer spending is literally the number one driver of economic growth, right? So when they got you maxing out the credit card, then they're growing the economy. When they got you spending to your last, they're growing the economy. So there is a culture of spending. There's an indoctrination of spending. There is there's marketing, mass marketing of the idea that you should spend. Again, it even comes through your music. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it. It's a good song, but it's kind of disturbing, right? You're because music is powerful, man. By the way, in case you don't know, I'm married to a woman who's an expert on the subconscious mind. Shout out to all the black men who love black women, because I know people think that's simping, but y'all can kiss my entire black ass. I love this black woman. I love every inch of her beautiful body. And the one thing about this beautiful black woman who happens to be an expert of the subconscious mind is that she speaks to me regularly about how music penetrates the subconscious more than damn near anything else. That literally music, when you're listening to music, when you're listening to that hip hop song that's telling you to go kill black people, it doesn't mean you're going to really go kill black people. But what it does is it desensitizes you to killing black people. Or that music that tells you to spend it, it's mine, I spend it, it's mine, I spend it. Or I went to the club and popped bottles and gave away all my kids' wealth, to some strippers that I don't even know. And then when I die, this translates to real life. This is not pretend, right? This translates to real life. How many of y'all know some dude who was bankrolling, sitting on Facebook and Instagram, showing off how much money he had, but then he died and his kids had nothing? In fact, they didn't even have enough money to pay for the funeral. How many of y'all seen that? How many of y'all seen people like that, balling hard in life, but looking like a damn fool in death? Right. And I want to say this really just as an aspect of manhood in general and womanhood as well. Uh, if you do that, if you go out like that, then you're a sucker to me. I'm sorry. I know people get mad. They're like, "Boy, stop being so mean." I'm sorry. That's the only thing I can say is that if you're a man and you had money in life and your kids can't even pay, your kids are on the internet begging strangers to donate to a GoFundMe to pay for your funeral. I'm sorry, that's a sucker's funeral. Like you gonna look like a sucker, right? So I just want everybody to just kind of be aware of that and just handle your business, right? So where does this get to? Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's the URL on the screen. I do financial commentary every day. I'm a little bit weird, but I'm also pretty well trained at this stuff. So hopefully I can help you because I want to see you do well. I want to see you make money. Hit that thumbs up button. All right. So and share the video too if you're on Facebook. All right. So here's the deal. So when you have people that, if you go back to free cash flow, if you're in the category of person that makes $1,000 and spends $1,000, if you're in that 2 Chainz category, I'm riding around and I'm getting it, it's mine, I spend it, where every time you make money, you have to spend it all, then what happens is that you get caught in a situation where you start to become like a hamster on a wheel. You get to the point where you become one of these millions of Americans who, unfortunately, and I'm not making fun of these people at all because we're all trained to be in this class. Only those who are economically conscious, only those who have consciousness can rise out of this status. But if you do that, then what will happen is you will become one of the millions of Americans who is working really, really hard. I mean, working like crazy. I mean, working harder than 90% of all rich people. I'm talking about working your butt off, like Michael Jackson got me working day and night, like literally working super hard and frustrated because you ain't going nowhere. Like you're like the hamster on the wheel who thinks I'm going 50 miles an hour on this wheel and I'm not moving. So maybe if I go 70 miles an hour on this wheel, then the wheel will move. Well, the wheel ain't gonna move. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna get tired. Period. All that's going to happen is you're going to get worn out. And why? Well, because everything you're bringing in is going right back out. And you've heard that old adage, you've heard that old cliche, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Well, let's go deeper than that, right? Free cash flow is essential to the valuation of corporations. It's also essential to the valuation of an individual's net worth and income. The ability to make a little bit more than what you spend, it comes from either A, figuring out how to make more money, or B, figuring out how to spend less money. One of those two things got to happen. And I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you which direction you should go. Let me tell you a little secret. When I was on the faculty of Syracuse University, one of the big dilemmas I had was I was a spender, man. I've always loved spending money. I'm not the guy that's gonna sit here and tell you that, oh, well, you can actually build a substantial amount of wealth if you stop drinking your coffee on your way to work in the morning. No, if you like your coffee, get your damn coffee. That's okay. All I'm saying is that you have to pay the cost to be the boss. That means if you want to have those perks in life, get your hustle on. Learn. Let's figure out how to make you some more money. Let's increase your income. So back when I was at Syracuse, that was my dilemma. I looked at my budget, and I'm not a scarcity mindset type of person. My brother, he's different from me. My brother is, he's a smart guy, and we've worked together for years. He's my number one partner. He trusts me. And trust is really important in business, by the way, and in love and life. If you don't trust your partner, then it's going to be hard for them to move. It's like working with someone who doesn't trust you to take chances is like being a basketball player where the coach takes you out of the game every time you miss a shot. If a coach does that, then he's not a very good coach, right? So in general, my brother is a great coach. My brother trusts me. He says, "Oh shoot, Boyce done blew up the whole building today because Boyce is a little bit crazy," but he loves me enough that he trusts me when I say, "Don't worry, man, I'll fix it," or "Don't worry, man, I got this." He's cool with that, but I know it turns his stomach. Why am I telling the story about my brother? Well, because my brother is on the anal retentive side. He's the type. They say anal retentive are the babies that like hold in their poop, like they don't let loose or whatever. I was the opposite of that. I'm not anal retentive. I probably just crapped all over the place when I was a baby. And as a grown man, I tend to just go for it. Whatever I believe, whatever I want to do, whatever I think is right, I'm just going to go for it. And I don't care who likes it. I don't care what people think. It doesn't matter. If Jesus or God or whoever the higher power is sends me a message and says, go get it, boys, I'm going to go get it. Right. And so here's the thing, though. As that occurs, what happens is that one translation of that is that I'm not big on cutting costs. I don't like a minimalist strategy. I don't like shrinking my dream down to match other people's small-minded reality. I can't do that. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy catering to people that have no vision by reducing the magnitude of my vision. I'm like, God gave me this vision, which means it must be possible. And even if it doesn't seem possible, I'm still going to try. And so it translates to my budget. When my money was out of whack, I would say, okay, boys, you're making X amount of dollars per month. And I was making good money in Syracuse. I was making $115,000 a year in 2001. That was how much money I got paid on my very first job out of school. Pretty cool, right? But I spent a lot of money. And I looked at my budget and I was like, okay, boys, you got to cut some stuff out of your budget. And I'm looking down the line items. I'm like, no, I need that. No, I need that. Well, no, I don't really need that, but I really want that. No, I don't really want that. So I don't like being uncomfortable. So what happened was I realized I said, okay, you got a choice. Either you can cut your spending so you can have free cash flow, so you'd have extra money to invest and do whatever you want or save or all that stuff, or you got to find a way to increase your income, right? A lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people talk about reducing you're spending, but they don't talk about the fact that by increasing your financial literacy and expanding your options in life, that you can actually increase your income. And that's why I say the number one thing you can teach a black child in this country is how to increase their income, all the different ways to make money. Most people only know how to make money by chasing a job. Well, whose fault is that? Is it the white man's fault because we went to his school and he never taught us how to go make money and how to go be rich like him? No, I don't think it's. I mean, maybe I guess if white people ever decided they really love you, not right. They have 400 years of evidence to show you that they don't love you that much. So I don't know why you'd be mad at the people who hate you for continuing to hate you. Like why would you be mad at Massa for not loving you enough to make sure that you're in good shape? Like what kind of Stockholm syndrome do you have that makes you think that Massa is going to be the one to give you any sign of how to liberate yourself? This ain't no anti-white nothing. This is just truth. Y'all know history. Y'all know what Black history is. If you don't, go read the Black History Reader by Dr. Claude Anderson. He'll give you some real Black history, not that bull crap that you get in school. I'm trying not to cuss today, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So it's up to us, right? It's our fault. It's our fault. Like, why is it that millions of our kids grow up and only know how to make money by filling out a job application when there are 1,000 different ways to make money, and most of them are better than filling out a job application? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a job. I'm not job shaming. People get silly. They're like, "Oh, but you're job shaming because you're telling black people we can do better." No, I'm saying I'm not job shaming. I'm saying like expand your options, man. You elevate your thinking. This isn't me making fun of you. This is me challenging. This is me giving you the game. So here's the deal. When you're talking about free cash flow, which is an essential aspect of corporate growth, corporations have a hard time growing without free cash flow or access to capital. Those are two things black people lack: free cash flow and access to capital. One group that actually has a lot of free cash flow in terms of like disposable income, extra money. Two groups have a lot of disposable income: gay people and black women. Gay people and educated black women. Those are two groups that have the most disposable income in the country for the most part. I mean, I'm sure rich white men, obviously, they're in that category too. But gay men have a lot of disposable income because gay men don't have kids. They maybe they adopt, but in case y'all didn't know, it takes a man and a woman to make a baby. So a lot of gay families don't have babies. Now I know that there's ways around that or whatever, but that's another conversation. But they have a lot of disposable income because of that. That's why they end up buying lots of property and owning lots of assets and things like that because they've got a lot of free cash flow. Black women, educated black women, particularly in their 30s and 40s. Some of y'all might be in this room right now. Black women they don't grow up sort of with the same silly dreams that a lot of us guys have. Like they don't grow up thinking they're going to be in the NFL or the NBA or they're going to be a rapper one day. Most black women have their mother right there, their number one role model right there. A lot of black men don't have their number one role model. That's why you see a lot of men who don't really know how to be men, who think that being a man means bashing women, or they think that being a man means like I ain't taking care of nobody's kids. I ain't gonna take care of my own. I definitely ain't gonna be no stepdaddy. Cause they don't nobody. That's simping, dog. That's simping, dog. Well, they didn't learn that from a man. They didn't learn that from their father. They didn't learn that from a real man. They learned that from society. They learned that from a rapper. They learned that from Kevin Samuels or something because they didn't have a guide, right? They're looking for something, right? So a lot of times there are a lot of men who become very incapable of kind of even knowing which way to go because they're not fortunate enough. I'm not making fun of these guys, but it's true, they don't really have a clear role model. The black woman is in a different space. They have their mother right there. Now, the missing father may cause some issues, right? Because then you have trouble figuring out how to relate to men. But your mother's always right there. Your mother's saying, stand up straight, pull your skirt down, do your homework, wash the dishes, right? No, girl, you ain't slacking. I know you on your cycle, but you need to get up and go to work, right? Your mother's kind of challenging you, so you're constantly growing. And that's something that happens in a lot of our households. When you have the mother there and the father's not there, the girls are getting a role model, but they're not getting the opposite sex parent, which is very important. The boys are getting the opposite sex parent, so they're getting lots of love and adoration and affection from their mama, which sometimes some of these boys get spoiled from it. It spoils them, right? And then their mama dumps them off to some other woman who's got to be the replacement mama, and next thing you know, he's out here just doing whatever. But then also, unfortunately, he's missing that role model who makes him stand up with his back straight and forces him to get out of bed and forces him to do the things you need to do in order to be a man. That's the balance our families are losing. So with that said, black women, as a result of this, and the trauma that we all experience and everything else, you just see where Black women are just killing it economically. They're doing extremely well financially. And that's just, and I want the men to catch up with the women, but it's going to require really some social engineering on the part of us to decide what do we want our families to look like. Like family is very important when it comes to wealth. Like it's very hard to build wealth without family. My wealthy friend from Africa said, I don't understand how in the world African Americans think they can ever build wealth without family. Like you can't have, generation after generation starting over and really think that you're going to actually build wealth. She said, I can't even imagine having to start over every generation. She said, our family's wealth goes back 100 years. Black people in America, I don't know why y'all think y'all can build wealth in 2 or 3 years. It doesn't work that way. So with that said, that free cash flow component is extremely important. The amount of money that you make above and beyond the amount that you spend is what allows you to grow financially. If you don't have that, if your expenses completely match your income, then you're going to be like that hamster on a wheel, just running, 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 and you're not going to go anywhere. Now, here's what's going to happen though. Here's the issue. Most wealth comes from capital. If you read books like Powernomics, they will explain to you. And actually, just so you know, I'm actually thinking about doing a Powernomics or some sort of book club study group that everybody in the Black Business School will be invited to, and you'll be able to join that for free. I'm going to do this totally free. I'm not going to charge you anything. And if you want to be a part of that, join the Black Business School, theblackbusinessschool.com, and just do a free membership. Just that way you'll be on the list, and I'll let you guys know when I'm going to do it. I met a brother in Philadelphia that made me think to do this, and so because of this, so here's what happens: wealth in America is generated from capital. Capital can be things like land, things like even a car can be capital, a donkey can be capital. Like anything that allows you the opportunity to work an asset and make money from it, that is your capital base, right? That's how rich people make money. Rich people don't make money through working; they make money, or they work a little, but most of their money is made through their capital, through their stock investments, through their real estate investments, through the companies they own, right? Now, here's your problem with as Black people. You have the same problem that your ancestors had when they left slavery. They had no capital base. They had no capital base. The only capital base they had was labor, and it wasn't even skilled labor. It was low skilled labor because white folks didn't teach them how to do anything, right? So when you don't have a capital base and you have to lean on labor, it's similar to how maybe you might have a woman who says, "I don't have any other way to make money, but I notice that men like my body, and I know that men will pay money to have sex with me or whatever, right? So that's her capital base, right? Which is very unfortunate, but that's the reality. That's what it is. The oldest profession in the world, right? So basically, when you don't have a capital base because maybe your parents or nobody sent you a left you an inheritance, nobody left you an insurance policy, nobody left you any stocks, nobody left you any real estate, nobody left you a business, then what happens is that your only capital base is your labor. Do you follow me? Give me a yes if you're following what I'm saying. Y'all know me. I give you the whole explanation so you can really understand it. If you don't get it, just listen to the video again. Give me a yes in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Hit the thumbs up button too, by the way, if you haven't done it yet. So basically, when you don't have an economic capital base, all you've got is your body. All you've got is the ability to do exactly what your ancestors did 2 years ago. Your ancestors were sold into slavery. Now, today, no one sells you into slavery. You sell yourself into slavery, right? Either way, you're still a slave. The difference now is that instead of someone else getting the money for your slavery, you get the money for your slavery. So the slavery is a little bit better, right? You're not, But then again, though, if your living conditions are, pretty if you're living in squalor and you don't have enough money to really do what you want to do, how's that totally different from slavery? I mean, it's not that much different, except you have a few more rights, but for the most part, it's a very similar feeling. So here's an issue with your human capital, though. When you use your body as your main source of capital, that capital depletes. It's like using a car as capital. Like if you have a car, and let's say you have this car and you're using this car to deliver pizzas every day. So you're delivering pizzas with your car, and you're making money off your capital by delivering these pizzas. Well, over time, you're going to put miles on that car. Over time, you're going to have wear and tear on that car. Over time, that car is going to get old. It's going to get tired. It's going to eventually break down for good, right? And unless you have access to capital, you won't be able to get another car, right? Now you can obviously you can just go to the car lot and sure they'll make you another loan, But for the most part, you're not really moving forward. You're not getting anywhere. All you really accomplished during that period was survival. You accomplish lower frequency survival. That's it. You avoided starvation. You had a place to live. You got access to food and water and so security, but you didn't get a chance to really do anything above that. All right, because the amount of money you were making is the amount of money you were spending, and you were depleting your capital in the process, and eventually your capital broke down. Well, your body does the same thing. A lot of people do. They run their body like a car. They say, "Okay, I'm young. I'm energetic. I can work. That's how I'm going to make my money." So you start working, you're making $1,000 a week, but you're spending $1,000 a week. Maybe it's because, don't get me wrong, we know it's hard out here, right? We know that prices are going up and all kinds of stuff is happening in the economy that you should be aware of. But still, you're making 1,000, you're spending 1,000, right? And also the culture is telling you that this is okay. You're hearing songs like 2 Chainz, I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it. So when you get it, you spend it, right? Because you don't even realize, so on the subconscious level, you've been brainwashed to deplete any possibility you would ever have to have any real wealth or any leverage in a capitalist society, right? Because, I mean, what would a capitalist society be without its worker bees? The worker bees are the people that are susceptible to that brainwashing that will convince them that your job, your sole purpose in life is to go work for and serve the corporation until you're old and gray and dead, right? How would that, how would a capitalist society work if they didn't brainwash people to serve their needs, right? That's been true for 1,000 years. It goes back to feudal Europe. You can go back to 1502 and they have the same damn system in place, right? So eventually this guy is no longer young and energetic, and his capital is depleting. He doesn't have the same ability to get up and work those long hours like he did when he was a kid, right? Now he's, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and he's not been able to have any free cash flow. That's what the whole premise of this whole conversation was from the beginning. He doesn't have any free cash flow that has allowed him on any opportunity to accumulate any wealth, right? Because with free cash flow, he could have said, okay, I'm gonna take my surplus. I make 1,000, I spend 700. I'm gonna take $300 a week. I'm gonna pop that into the stock market. Boom, he's a millionaire. He's got 100 grand in a very short period of time. I mean, I think it will probably take him. I don't know if it will be a decade or 12 years or whatever. So by the time he's 35, he's got over 100 grand, 200 grand, or whatever. Then he's able to, and he's got financial literacy. He's able to flip that into real estate. He's got his own business, and now he's got other forms of capital besides his body. But instead, he's been trained to take the 1,000, spend the 1,000, and deplete his capital. Then he gets old. Then his capital can't produce anymore. So at that point, he ends up in a point of complete destitution. If he has not made any plans for the future, like insurance policies or anything like that, then he dies. His children have nothing. They have to start all over in the next generation, even though he worked his butt off, even though he was a hardworking man. He was that hamster in a wheel who ran his ass off. He probably ran 100,000 miles on that wheel, but the wheel did not move. Now, how many of you know people that live their lives like that? You may be in that category right now, and I'm not making fun of you. I'm proud of you because you're here listening to this conversation, which right there is the first step toward you making progress in your life. Right? I'm extremely proud of you, no matter where you are, because you're simply here listening. I don't know. In case you don't know, I don't allow everybody into my platform. If you start acting crazy and talking with that ridiculous stuff, I block you. I get those people out of here because I like preaching to the choir. I don't want to preach to the people that don't want to hear it. I only want to talk to people that want to grow. So you're making progress, but a lot of you probably know people who are not. It's going to be really hard for you. The wiser you get, the smarter you get, the more conscious you get, the more you're going to seem like a weirdo and an alien. I say things that make people pissed off at me. I say things that make people think I'm crazy. I say things that make people think that that I'm just out of my mind and from another planet. And the only reason I say it is because I just truly don't give a shit. Number one, that's the first thing. And then number two, I have a PhD, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. So it's more likely that you're wrong than it is that I'm wrong. Doesn't mean I know everything. It just means that I know enough to know what I know and what I think I don't know. And you don't. If you're arguing with me, there's a good chance that I could have some validity to my point of view, right? So that's why I'm okay with saying these things. But I'm telling you, the more you disconnect from that ridiculous economic culture that has poisoned society, the weirder you're going to be. The more you're going to look around you and say, my God, what is going on? Right? That's what consciousness is. Consciousness is awareness. So when you develop your economic consciousness, you're going to become more aware of just how poisoned people are and how this stuff starts at birth. So with that said, here's my final recommendation on this point. My point is to say that no matter what you do, at some point you have to have some type of free cash flow, and that free cash flow must be invested. Period. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It doesn't matter where your income level is. You got to do whatever you got to do to make sure that your revenue exceeds your spending on some level, and that free cash flow is going toward some sort of capital development, some sort of capital base that will prepare you for the future. You must store your nuts for the winter. If you do not, then winter is coming. Like Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, they had a saying that where they would just keep saying, "Winter is coming." That means that the shit about to get real. It will. The tough days are coming, and it's very important for you to understand that when you don't prepare, you'll end up in a similar situation to so many people that will overreact and go crazy when things go bad. But to be honest with you, some of those people, not all of them, but many of them, a few months before, when you were warning them that winter was coming, those people were not listening. And why is that okay? Well, because society tells you it's okay to not prepare and to just label yourself a victim when things go wrong. And again, that's another method that is used to maintain control over you. That's how they control you and get you dependent on the system, is to convince you that there's nothing you can do. There's no way you can take care of yourself. There's no way you can protect yourself. Things just happen. It's terrible. And the majority rules. If everybody agrees, if everybody else is saying, yeah, you were just a victim, there was nothing you could do, then people feel like that's okay, because people think, people who don't know who they are and don't really know what's going on, they really think that an idea is the correct idea because everyone agrees with it. And that's about the craziest thing in the world to me. But then again, I'm a 50-year-old man, who's a college professor. So I'm not afraid to share ideas that are not popular. I share ideas that I believe are correct. And if it turns out those ideas are incorrect, then I'll fix them. I'll change them. I'll modify my perspective. But I've been pretty consistent. If you go back 25 years, you'll see an article that I wrote called "Why the NCAA Needs to Pay Its Athletes." Right. So I was really happy this week when they started paying the athletes. By the way, that was actually really a big deal for me because I've been writing about this and screaming about it for a very long time. But with that said, if you have the free cash flow, what that does, if you think about it, right? So use the example of the person who makes $1,000 a week, and they find a way to only spend 700, right? And if that number doesn't work, then if you get financial literacy, you start a business or you find a side hustle, then maybe you increase your income, right? If 1,000 doesn't work for you, then maybe you increase your income. You increase it to 1,300, and you spend 1,000, right? Either way, you've got that $300 a week. So let's actually round it up to 350, so I can use the $5 a day plan to break that down. So if you recall the $5 a day plan, which is something that I give you guys for free. I've mentioned it before. Every family should have this because this really lets you know that wealth is possible for anybody that has enough time and patience and consistency. It's not some elusive thing that only rich people know how to do. That's BS. It's really a process. So it's like losing weight. Like, don't tell me that people can't lose weight. Like, oh, you're just obese and there's nothing you can do about it. Don't get me wrong. I know people have diseases or whatever, but let me send you, if you take that person and put them on a farm where they're only allowed to eat vegetables, and must are forced to exercise for 3 or 4 months. Let's see what happens then. If you're still 400 pounds after all that, then I'll believe you. But most people, that wouldn't work. So the $5 day plan is kind of the same way. It's basically a long-term plan that allows you to build a really substantial amount of wealth for your family, in a way that's very consistent and doesn't require any economic training. So if you want a copy, you can go to the allblackagenda.com. It's a little ebook I put together. The URL's right there. It's totally free, totally free. And so let's use the $5 day plan as an example. So let's say you're that guy who has a free cash flow of $350 a week. So what that is that's five times. Sorry, let me see. What's that? Is it 5 times? So yeah, that's 10 times more than the $5 day plan. The $5 day plan is $35 a week. Now remember, I told you guys that historically, a person who invested $5 a day and did that consistently over a 10-year period would have approximately, even if they put it in a random S&P 500 index fund or something very basic, very general, not any sort of special stock picking, that person after 10 years would have $29,000 approximately. After 20 years, they'd have about 102,000. After 30 years, they'd have about a quarter million. After 40 years, they'd have 750,000. Now, imagine that guy who is working his butt off, who has a free cash flow of $350 a week, right? So that's 10 times more than 35, right? So basically what happens is all those numbers I mentioned to you, they are multiplied by 10. So this guy, pay attention. This is the guy who's in the struggle. He's a young buck. He's a little grinder. He's 20 years old or 25 or whatever, got his first job. So let's say he's making a G a week or whatever, and he finds a way to have $350 a week in free cash flow. Now, maybe a G a week is a little much. I don't know. You can change the numbers if you want to, but $350 a week. Well, that means that in 10 years, doing the $5 a day plan, except instead of doing $5 a day, he'd do $50 a day because he's got 10 times more money. So $50 a day times 7 is $350 a week. So doing that approach and putting his money in a standard S&P 500 index fund, after 10 years, he wouldn't have 29,000, he'd have 290,000, $290,000. Now process that for a moment. Give me a yes or no if you're following this example. Sometimes I talk fast. I don't want to talk over your head, but I don't want to talk under your feet either. I want to talk in a way that challenges you to understand the possibilities that can exist in your life if you make the right choices. Right. So give me a yes. I need a yes as a confirmation. Let me know. Give me a yes. And please hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Okay. All right. So in 10 years, he doesn't have 29,000. He's got 290,000. Now, even 29,000 liquid puts him in a pretty good position. Um, Give me a yes or no. You know, uh, most people have $29,000 liquid that they can get access to in the case of a financial emergency? Give me a yes or no. Do you think most people have 29K liquid that they can go to in case they need some money? No, they don't. Most people don't. So this guy doesn't have $29,000 liquid. He has $290,000 liquid. So he's not struggling anymore. He's not a poor, just a poor little dude from the hood who's a product of his environment. He can't use that no more. He can't use that sad story because they encourage you to use the poor black kid stories to explain why people can encourage you to do a bunch of dumb things with your life. Like, well, the reason I don't take care of my kids is because I'm a product of my environment. Yeah, but if you're aware enough to acknowledge that you're a product of your environment, then you probably have the awareness that you need to fix whatever is wrong with you that's keeping you from taking care of your kids, right? Like people who are just products of their environment are not aware enough typically to look around and say, look at me, I'm just a product of my environment. Look at me, I'm just a victim. They don't do that. They just do what they do. They don't sort of tell you. Like when I'm well enough, when I have enough awareness to tell you what's wrong with me, that is the first step to be acknowledging it and being willing to do the work to fix what's wrong with me. Right. So it's like my mother knew when I needed to be potty trained because I started bringing diapers to her and I lay back and I say, change my diaper. And that's when she realized, okay, he's aware enough to know he needs to be changed, which means he's aware enough to know how to use the potty. Right. So, if you're aware enough to know that something's wrong with you, then you're aware enough to know that it's time to use the potty. It's time for you to grow up. Right. It's time for you to stop using the excuses that you might have used a decade ago. So this guy's not in the struggle anymore. He's got $290,000 liquid. That puts him probably in the top 10% of all Americans at that point. That's a decade. That's short. That's actually a decade is a snap in time in investment time frames. 10 years ain't nothing when it comes to building massive wealth. Warren Buffett talks about building wealth over 30, 40, 50 years. Millionaires talk about building wealth over generations. A decade, that's 2011, y'all. That's not a long time ago. So 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 he's got 290 liquid, but this is just the beginning. This is the beginning. This is what's beautiful about it. So he's still doing that same 350. He's not increasing it, even though he probably would be able to. I mean, he's got 290K liquid, so he's probably not making a grand a week now. He's probably making 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 a week. But let's assume that he just does the same amount. He does it all on autopilot. 350 a week, 350 a week, 350 a week. Well, after 20 years, remember the $5 a day plan, you have $102,000 after 20 years. But he's not doing $5 a day. He's doing 10 times that, right? So he doesn't have $102,000. He has $1 million. So this dude, this young grinder, in the struggle, riding around, I'm getting it culture, right? Because he chose to walk away from the culture of excessive spending and financial irresponsibility, he is now 20 years in, he's a millionaire. He ain't that old. He hasn't been doing this for very long, but he literally has and he's not just a millionaire. Most people, when they become millionaires for the first time, they become paper millionaires, right? So he probably became a paper millionaire years before, but now he's a liquid millionaire. Most millionaires do not have $1 million in the bank. Most millionaires cannot. If you say, "Give me $1 million right now," or I'm gonna put a bullet in your head, right? Most millionaires could not get that $1 million. They would just have to die that day. So most millionaires are not paper millionaires. He's a cash money liquid millionaire. Uh, but let's keep going. Let's say that he's thinking legacy now, because now he's a millionaire. Now he's going to see himself different. Now he's walking with his chest out and his chin up. He's feeling good about himself, right? And that's true. There's studies that show that when men have more money and more power, their confidence grows, their testosterone levels rise. Women become more attracted to them because y'all have a natural, innate ability to smell a man's confidence. That's why confidence is sexy, because the confident man can protect you. The confident man can provide for you. The confident man is going to come through for you. The confident man is going to keep you in the lifestyle to which you hope to become accustomed. So y'all know how to smell that. It's not because you're gold diggers, it's because you're women, right? And I don't care. They talk about transgender, trans this and trans that. You can't replicate that. You can't replicate that. God put that in you 300,000 years ago. So now he's thinking in a different level. Now he says, okay, now I'm not struggling. Now I'm ready to maybe find me a beautiful black wife and raise some babies and have an empire and build a legacy. So now he's thinking, gosh, I'm gonna keep doing this. This has really been working out. I'm gonna keep going because now I've got everything I want. I have all the cars I want. I have all the houses I want. I can go on vacation anywhere in the world. Maybe he even has a private jet or a helicopter or something crazy like that. So now he's got this beautiful black woman by his side. Just so you know, men that are economically strong feel far more confident and comfortable with marriage. Think about. I mean, I can use myself as an example. I don't know if I was ready to get married when I was a young grinder that didn't have any money in my pocket, but I got married recently, and I felt very comfortable with marriage. I don't mind. I like being a stepdaddy because I guess it would be hard if you don't have enough money to take care of other people, but money's not a thing in our household. Like, we're good. we're fine, right? So that money does make a man feel more comfortable about his life and where he's at. It's just a fact. I'm not saying money's the only thing that matters in the world, but it does make a difference. It makes a difference. Stop acting like it should never make a difference. It makes a difference. It makes a difference if you can feed your kids and get them a new pair of shoes for school. Like that affects you emotionally, right? So there's a deep psychological impact that money has on your life. So let's go back to the example with this guy I'm talking about. So after 20 years, he's got a liquid million, and then, but remember, he's thinking legacy now, so he keeps going. So he goes out 30 years. Well, remember the $5 a day plan. After 30 years, you've got $750,000. But he's not doing $5 a day. He's doing 10 times that. So he doesn't have 750,000, 750,000. He's got $7.5 million. So let's keep going. Let's go 40 years. 40 years. In that $5 a day plan. Wait, sorry, scratch that. Wait, I said 30 years. Sorry, 30 years is I made a big mistake, guys. Forgive me. At 30 years before with $5 a day, it's $250,000. But with this method that this guy's doing, because he's doing 10 times that, he's got 2.5 million. Then it's 40 years where he's got 7.5 million. So that's what I'm gonna say. Excuse me for making that mistake. So in one generation, so pay attention now. This is very important. In one generation, this guy's gone from a young hustler on the grind to literally becoming one of the 1%. Like at his funeral, he's got all these people paying homage to a man who's become a leader in the community. He's become a benefactor of very important charitable organizations in the community. He has he is the patriarch of an empire. He is leaving a legacy that is going to make sure that his descendants are good for the next 100 years. He's got a corporation by now, I'm sure, maybe two or three of them. His children are CEOs. Like they're 25, 30-year-old CEOs. They're not out here 28 years old with no assets trying to repay student loans. No, they're 28 years old with a trust fund. The kids are at the funeral, nicely dressed and paying respects to their father and making plans for the memorial and the statue they're going to put up of their dad, and the painting. He got a portrait that they're going to put up, in one of the houses or in one of the buildings that he owns, because they honor this man so much. Like, that's how, to me, that's how a man should be going out, right? And the same, and I'm using the male example because I'm a man, and so, but it doesn't mean ladies can't do the same thing. So I forgive me for being gender specific on this, but I want to kind of paint that picture for you and help you understand the difference that little thing can make. That little thing called free cash flow, the ability to have more money coming in than you have going out, the ability to walk away from a culture that is designed to leave you on the hamster wheel, the ability to step away from all the things that teach you that your only purpose in life is to serve the corporation until you die. So I just want to see you guys think about it differently. I really, really, really hope that this conversation has been helpful to you. And I swear to God, when I started this conversation, I thought I was only going to talk for about 10 minutes. But sometimes when I get to going, I really do become like a preacher, because this is my calling, and I start feeling the Holy Spirit, and I say to myself, Boyce, do everything you can to share this message as clearly as you possibly can, because you've got the opportunity to change somebody's life, but not just to change that person's life, but you're changing the lives of hundreds of their descendants over the next 100 years. That's what they call the multiplier effect in economics. Whatever I tell you that you start doing right now, and if you do it consistently over the next 20, 30 years, that's going to impact your family all the way up until the year 2200, 2300, 2400. We're not talking about, you making a quick flip on some crypto in the next 2 weeks. A lot of people talk about that stuff. I'm talking about stuff that will literally have them singing your praises 150, 200 years from now. That's called a big vision, people. And one thing I can say, I have to admit, I practice very, very hard forming very big visions, because like T.I. the rapper used to say, he said, big shit popping, little shit stopping. I don't do the little shit because I focus on the big. So think big, and that will make you successful. That will make you a winner. That will help you get to the top. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. It was wonderful speaking to you. And by the way, in the Black Business School, I did a thing called the Black Stock Market Weekend, where I spent the whole weekend kind of breaking down my process for stock selection. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to go to the blackstockmarketweekend.com. I recorded it. It was really good. The students loved it. So feel free to go take a look if that's something that can help your family. And in the Black Business School, everything has a 30-day 100% money back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason whatsoever. So there's no risk to you at all. But if you think that this will help you, feel free to go to the blackstockmarketweekend.com. And thank you to all of you who support what we do over here, because I know that we do things a little bit different, but we're not gonna stop. Can't stop, won't stop. So hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button before you go, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Peace.